reach a settlement. Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson gets an 11-game suspension and a $5 million fine. Watson met with the media today.
I'm moving on with my career and my life, and I'm continuing to stand on my innocence. Just because, settlements and things like that happen doesn't mean that a person is guilty for anything. I feel like a person has the opportunity to stand on his innocence and prove that, and we proved that on the legal side, and we're just going to continue to push forward as an individual and as a person.
Watson will be evaluated by behavioral experts and follow a treatment program in order to be reinstated. Giants quarterback Daniel Jones says today he had a non-football related procedure on his neck over the winter. Jones says the procedure was not related to the neck injury that kept him off the field for the last 6 games last year. Baseball today, Albert Pujols with a pinch hit grand slam against the Rockies, career home run number 690. The Cardinals lead 13-0 in the ninth.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. We're close, convenient, and known for our guaranteed everyday low prices and excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
If you haven't
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tomplin. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Joe Burrow is on the cover of the NFL, Sports Illustrated NFL Preview Edition. Conor Orr wrote the feature on Joe Burrow. He's going to be with us in 15 minutes from right now. Looking forward to that conversation. Speaking of quarterback, what a day for quarterbacks in the NFL. You heard the Deshaun Watson news, so obviously, as we've talked about extensively here, my really only concern with that is Week 16. If Deshaun Watson was going to return for Week 16, that means that he would play against the Saints, which it appears he will. We will hear from Dennis Allen today as well on Jameis Winston and how he's coming along. By the way, is it not startling to anyone else that Tom Brady is MIA and nobody seems to be asking that question? Why? Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback ever, everywhere, reports everywhere about him potentially going to Miami, tampering, all that stuff. Leaves camp. Ain't a damn word about Tom Brady anywhere. Does this not blow? I mean, I remember the day when ESPN went and set up at Jets and subsequently Patriots training camp where they were doing round-the-clock coverage because Tim Tebow was trying to make the team. Y'all remember that? That is not fabricated. That's the thing that happened. And ain't nobody talking about Tom Brady. Y'all, I'm telling you, with every passing day, I get more bullish on the Saints winning the NFC South, more bullish on the Bucs kind of being a mess. How in the world is Tom Brady? They had dudes at Brett Favre, staked outside of Brett Favre's home in Kiln, Mississippi. Do you remember when Brett Favre flew up to camp to join the Minnesota Vikings? They had helicopters at the private airport. Getting the video of Brett Favre getting off the plane and getting into the limo or the SUV to bring him to the Vikings facility. It's Tom Brady, y'all. Nobody's saying a damn thing about him being gone. What's it been, 2 weeks? Dude, just not there. Is Tom Brady going to show up at halftime of the first game? Is he just going to walk into the stadium like nothing happened? It's incredible. All right, it's after further review. A lot to get to today. And of course, Brian Kelly. LSU had a day off, by the way. Tigers scrimmaged yesterday, so the day off today. They're doing community service. If you've been following on social media, a lot of guys at the food bank and different things. So the football team was taking the day to do community service, and they'll be back at practice tomorrow. And then, they're back at practice tomorrow, and then they will practice again on Saturday, which is the next availability for media to watch. All right. Speaking of the Tigers, I have often said that the biggest indictment on Ed Ogeron, the previous staff, is what happened on draft day. The fact that you had 10 players drafted from a team that went 6-7. The only team that had more players drafted than LSU was Georgia. She had 15. Literally set a record as the national champion, the only team that had more players drafted than you. And you went 6-7. Point being, this isn't to rip an old scab off the wound. The point being, talent wasn't the issue. Maybe you weren't a championship roster, but you had enough talent to be better than 6-7. I think we all understand that. So the people say LSU's always had the talent. That's true. The other part of this conversation, though, that's interesting is how much of that talent is there now? How much of that talent returned and is there right now for the 2022 LSU Tigers? Well, it was an interesting question to ask on this day because Todd McShay, and again, Todd McShay is one guy, he's one draft analyst, but he is a draft analyst who works at ESPN and is respected, and this gives us somewhat of a gauge for what people think about this LSU roster. Well, Todd McShay listed his top 50 prospects for college for this coming draft and the top 10 by position rankings for this coming draft. It's no surprise that Kayshon Boutte is high on the list, which may surprise you, is at number 6. Kayshon Boutte is actually the highest rated receiver in the draft by Todd McShay. Even ahead of Jordan Addison, who transferred from Pitt to USC, of course, won the Blitnikoff. Jackson Smith-Njigba from Ohio State, who, of course, exploded in that Rose Bowl a year ago. So major praise there for Kayshon Boutte from Todd McShay. But it wasn't just Kayshon Boutte. Excuse me. Old habits die hard. Kayshon Boutte. The guy I call it, he says his name's Boutte. I'm calling him Boutte. B.J. Ojulari comes in at number 25. Again, 25th best player overall in the draft class, according to Todd McShay. 6, Kayshon Boutte, 25, B.J. Ojulari, and a few spots later at number 30 is where we find Ali Gay on this list. So 3 players in the top 30, that's essentially translates to what would be 3 first-round picks. This isn't a mock draft, but that's how that would actually translate. When you look at the position rankings, I mentioned Todd McShay ranked the top 10 by position. There are 7 LSU players ranked in the top 10 of their position by Todd McShay. I mentioned Kayshon Boutte ranked the number 1 receiver. Ali Gay's ranked the number 3 defensive end. B.J. Ojulari's ranked number 4 outside linebacker. Jay Ward is ranked the 9th best safety in the draft. Jaquelin Roy is ranked the 11th best defensive tackle in the draft. And Sevyn Banks is ranked the 15th best cornerback in the draft. You've got 7 players, all at different positions, by the way, ranked in the top tier of their position for this coming draft. Effectively, what Todd McShay's telling you can have at least 7 players drafted off this LSU team. And that doesn't even include underclassmen like Mason Smith, Malik Neighbors, dudes who we all think are going to have really big years for LSU. Jack Besh, another sophomore. Also begs the question, what if they had been able to keep Elias Ricks and Apu Aika? Those are both guys that McShay ranks in the top 30 overall of this coming draft. The top 50, but still. We talked about that blue chip ratio from 24/7 Sports a few weeks back. our buddy Bud Smith puts out every year. And the blue chip ratio essentially is a gauge. It's an objective reading of roster talent, the percentage of 4 and 5 stars on a roster compared to the rest of the roster. And LSU, according to the blue chip ratio, had the 7th most talented roster in college football. This kind of speaks to that, doesn't it? I say all this just to point out there's a lot of questions about LSU. And we all know them because we've had the conversation. Who's going to start at quarterback? Is your offensive line going to be able to perform? Totally remade secondary. How do they gel together? Replacing all of your specialists. I get it. You got a lot of questions. You've also got a lot of talent. And this time you actually have a coach that knows how to maximize that talent because he's done it for 32 years as a head coach. Tough schedule, a lot of questions. I understand why people aren't projecting LSU to be a championship contender, and I'm not projecting that either. But what I am saying is, when you got a lot of talent and a good coach, sometimes things tend to go your way. Todd McShay with a little validation for this LSU football team. All right, it's after further review. The greatest LSU player ever, of course, is Joe Burrow, who is entering year 3 of his NFL career. He is on the cover of Sports Illustrated's NFL preview issue. Conor Orr wrote the feature story for SI, and Conor Orr will join us next on AFR.
AFR.
Take 60 seconds to remind you about Rouse's, and I want to remind you that this Saturday, they're bringing back the bourbon pop-up at the Rouse's on Long Farm. So that's Airline near Highland in Long Farm. Actually, it's Antioch is that side street. If you're familiar with where that Rouse's is in Baton Rouge, this Saturday, 10 to noon. Rouse's has been doing this at different spots, different Rouse's locations all over the area. They were in, I believe, New Orleans last week. But again, this Saturday, 10 to noon, it's another bourbon pop-up. I will be there for the entirety of the event from 10 to noon on Saturday. So come say hi at the Rouse's in Long Farm on Saturday, 10 to noon, and sample for free some really rare allocated whiskeys. They bring out some of the Van Winkles, Weller 12. They've had Stag Jr. They've had other BTACs. So really rare whiskeys that are hard to find. You can sample them for free this Saturday at Rouse's in Long Farm. I'll see you there from 10 to noon. Rouse's, this feels like home.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hunt, and Hill, the early line. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Well, if Joe Burrow's name is on it in these parts, it's always going to be interesting. And no exception here. Joe Burrow is the cover photo of SI's NFL Preview Edition, was also their daily cover as well. And Conor Orr wrote the feature on Joe Burrow. Conor Orr, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes now. Conor, I appreciate it. Thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks, and thanks for having me.
That's our pleasure. Okay, so you get to do an extensive feature on Joe Burrow. What was your expectation of the man going in based on what you learned coming out?
Well, luckily we were pretty well prepared. I was on the team that was reporting on the Super Bowl. I actually had the Bengals as my individual assignment, so started really working on the background information and everything going into not only a Joe story but a Bengals story, probably in the middle of January. And so by the time that Joe and I were actually able to talk in the beginning of June, we had quite a bit of research already done. We had talked to a lot of people in his lives and at least did our best to try to understand the person. But I think he's an impressive guy, certainly. I mean, I think the person that you see in those press conferences, the person that his teammates talk about, is certainly the person that I felt like I was sitting at lunch with.
One of the interesting things was that I found was Joe's general discomfort with, I'll use this word, with his fame. Did you get a sense of when that started for him?
Yeah, he actually had mentioned back at LSU, that first season, he said there was a walk that he could do from basically the locker room to his car. And he used to be able to do that by himself or with his parents, and nobody would come up to him and say anything. And then during the middle of the national championship run, he had to have a serious talk about hiring a full-time bodyguard. And I think at that point, your life just completely changed, and he couldn't go out drinking with his friends anymore. He couldn't do any of the things that he used to do. And that's a tough adjustment for a kid, especially at Ohio State when you weren't playing. That's not how you thought your life was going to go. It's a pretty quick 180 there.
By the way, can you please describe, I mean, I was reading through the feature. I see a lot of the photos that are part of it as well, what the day was like. So it was one day that you sat down with Joe and there was this photo shoot and everything. Can you just kind of describe that day?
Yeah, so it ended up kind of being Joe kind of wanted to stack all of his off-season media requirements into one day. And so I asked that I would just be able to accompany him for all of it, and then we would have lunch together afterwards. And so he did a photo shoot for us, which is not the one that we described in the story. And then he did two other photo shoots, both for the Bengals and did some video stuff. And I followed him around for that, too, and was able to write about that. It was like 90 degrees outside. I was in like a dress shirt and jeans. I was dying. I can't imagine what it would be like if you're in the full black home uniform and the helmet and, you're under heat lamps, to get the lighting correct. So, yeah, poor Joe he was melting that day. And he was talking to a teammate about running into the cold tub, and I can't say I blame him.
Did, even having covered him around the Super Bowl, Do you feel like you learned anything new about Joe Burrow, either the football player or the person, having the opportunity to sit down with him on that day?
I think it's more you try to validate or disprove sort of the general notion that's out there. And, I think Joe has done a great job of putting forth this notion that, like, hey, I really do only care about playing football. I enjoy playing football. I enjoy the competitiveness, and the rest of it I could take or leave. And, I had time to have a coffee with his parents in Nashville, with his dad in Nashville before they beat the Titans, and he had kind of spoken to that point. But to sit down with him and to hear him talk about his process, his mentality, it really does go a long way towards validating, like, hey, this guy, he's like anybody else, right? He likes to play video games. He likes to hang out with his friends. He just so happens to have a job where he plays really high-level competitive football.
And he's also going to set a contract record after this season. Did you all talk deeply about that?
Well, the only thing that we had joked about in terms of money and, kind of generally talking about where that goes, I had asked him if he would have preferred to play back in the 1950s or the 1960s because, you would have that anonymity, right? You would be able to live a life where you could go out to a restaurant and comfortably go home and not have to worry about that. And he said, not really, because the money is pretty good now, right? It's a lot better than it was in the 1960s. So I think he's aware of what is possible, but I think also, as he said, I think at his press conference yesterday, unless that success is sustained, the talk of this overwhelmingly record-breaking contract sort of gets obscured.
Conor Orr, Sports Illustrated, is with us. You're with a feature on Joe Burrow, which is the cover story for the football preview issue, the NFL preview issue. Conor, a big part of the whole fabric of the story you wrote also is about changing the culture in Cincinnati, which we all know has been, they were labeled the Bungles for a very long time, and now Joe Burrow has them to Super Bowl for the first time in 3 decades. So how much of that transformation has begun in Cincinnati?
I think it has, for sure. I mean, they've been top 5 in free agency spending, I think, each of the last 3 years. They just sold the naming rights to Paul Brown Stadium, which, like, geez, is the namesake of the father of the owner. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. And I think they're serious about injecting more money, more resources into the franchise. And certainly Joe has a big part of that. I don't think that you would care as much if you didn't think that the franchise was in good hands. And I think that Joe, who's a person who naturally doesn't seem to buy into any of those narratives about, oh, this is a losing franchise or a losing city, I think he's a big part of that faith and why they've been so aggressive.
Could you, I don't know how often, Conor, you get to go to Cincinnati or have been there, but are there visibly noticeable elements of the city that have transformed just in the 2 years that Joe Burrow's been there? Meaning, like, you can just tell there's a greater interest when you're around Cincinnati?
Oh, yeah. So during the lead up to the Super Bowl, I wrote a column at one of the bars that Zach Taylor went to. The Bengals coaches, after games, were going to local bars. They were handing out game balls to the fans. I don't know if people remember that story, but I went to one of the bars the week before the Super Bowl and was talking to some people there. And this is a perfect example. One of the managers of the bar was saying, like, hey, our bartenders made as much in a month of playoff football as they normally do in like 6 months of a normal Bengals season where they're out of it by December. And, like, that might not seem like a big deal to someone, but that is life-changing money to someone. And I think that perfectly goes towards the idea that, like, yes, the Bengals are changing things in Cincinnati in a very real and significant way. That same bar, by the way, got offered like $2,000 a table for reservations at the Super Bowl, which is crazy.
That is bizarre. I'd like to ask this question, but when you do a long feature like this, it's just impossible to write about everything. So something had to get left on the cutting room floor. Any little anecdotes that didn't make it in that you would have liked to have seen in?
I just think just further examples of, I mean, you just hear constant stuff about how much of a gamer Joe is. One good example being that, hey, in the senior year of high school, you have to get up in front of the class and it's senior follies. You got to put a dress on and you got to sing and dance. And he put on a black and white polka dot dress and he nailed it. I heard he brought the house down. So that just speaks to how much ice he's got running through those veins, I think.
He is Conor Orr, Sports Illustrated. Of course, pick up the football, the NFL preview of SI, or you can read it online at SI.com. Joe Burrow, a new fame, encore Super Bowl run. You can check it out there at SI.com. Conor, we appreciate a couple of minutes, man. Joey B is always interesting to folks down here.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you.
It is our pleasure. Conor Orr from Sports Illustrated. Joe is kind of one of those. The thing that I didn't know was right there, if you read that first, the lead there, when he starts talking about his time at LSU, and I kind of had to reread it when he was talking about getting security. I didn't realize that Joe had security when he was at LSU. There was a lot of things that, as that season went along, and obviously Burrow's fame elevated, the caliber of the season continued to grow, as we saw. They beat Alabama. There were so many moments where his stature kept elevating, and when the Heisman came more and more likely and of a certainty, actually, it was still not something where I realized he gave serious thought about hiring a full-time bodyguard, but did need security just to get to his car. Which you say those things and it sounds silly, but it's when you transcend to a point where you've reached a level of fame where you'll never be able to go anywhere again without being recognized. And it's a tough way to live life if you don't want that life. And for Joe Burrow, the interesting thing is he wants very much, obviously, the spoils. He wants the big contract. He wants to win championships. Those are things that drives him and motivates him, as we all well know. But with that also comes the fame and the notoriety and things where he would rather just, sit at home. I mean, he famously lived at his parents' house, even after he was drafted as a millionaire, was living at his parents' house until he bought a place in Cincinnati. So Joe is fascinating. And I think from a football perspective, what will be really interesting is at what point he does reach the pinnacle. Does he get back to Super Bowl and win it? Because there are very obvious correlations to be drawn to guys like Dan Marino, who made it to a Super Bowl in his second season and never got back to it. You get there early and you think you're going to go back and it's going to become a regular thing. I think we all know as long as Joe stays healthy, he's going to be a great player. He's going to be one of, if not the best quarterback in the NFL. But unlike any other sport, man, reaching the top, reaching the pinnacle in football, it feels a little different. So, will he get there? When I was reading this earlier and I was thinking about that, I kind of made the correlation with Shaq, who ended up winning, a handful of titles during his NBA career, but it took him, going from Orlando to the Lakers. Of course, they went to the finals in Orlando, but then going to the Lakers, then finally getting over the hump, even after having been in L.A. for, I think, 3 years. We went in 96, so 96, 97 would have been his first season in L.A., and didn't get over that hump until the 99-2000 season when they won their first of their three-peat there in L.A. So he eventually got there, eventually got over the hump, and you wonder, will Burrow get over that hump sooner than later? Will it take time? Is it something like John Elway, where he made it to Super Bowls, never wasn't able to win the Super Bowl, and then punctuated his career? Of course, championships matter when you're having the conversation about all-time greats, and it's so bizarre that we're already having that conversation about Joe Burrow after 2 seasons in the NFL, but it's warranted. But the championships have to come at some point. Will they? When will they? That pursuit for Joe, as he continues to ascend in fame and popularity, he's going to sign a record-breaking contract next offseason, after this season. And all of that's going to continue to grow around him as he continues this pursuit. So Joe Burrow is one of the more fascinating guys in the entirety of the NFL, really in the entirety of North American sports. Go read the feature there at SI. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by GMFS Mortgage, gmfsmortgage.com. Changing lives since 1999. Home buy, refi, construction loans, you know where to find them. GMFS Mortgage. Go to the website, hit the loan officers tab at the top of the page, and no matter where you are in the state of Louisiana, you'll find a loan officer near you. GMFSmortgage.com, our state's largest local lender, number 11 in the country when it comes to USDA loans. If you're buying, building, or looking to refinance, GMFS Mortgage can help all along the way. They want to be your lender for life. That's GMFS Mortgage and GMFSmortgage.com. All right, let me knock out a quick break. We'll go around the SEC. When we come back, we're going to head to Tallahassee and check in with our friend Carter Karels in 30 minutes as LSU keeps getting closer. Day off for the Tigers. Want to check in on their season-opening opponent, the Seminoles. Do that in about 30 minutes from right now on AFR.
AFR.
Kids have staked out their place at Ochsner Medical Complex The Grove, where more than 30 pediatricians and pediatric specialists are all conveniently located under one roof, so you can spend less time driving and more time keeping your kids well. Kids! It's no wonder kids call dibs at The Grove. Ochsner Health Center for Children.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
Bayou Ford has $14,000 off MSRP on a new 2021 Ford F-150. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to? Let Revelry Sports and Entertainment set up your luxury tailgate on campus. Order what you want and just show up to party. Book your tailgate today at revelryteam.com. Revelry Sports, the official tailgate partner of LSU Athletics.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. Use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
After further review with Matt Moscona. Presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
So it had previously been reported. Today it became official. The Big Ten has polished off their 7-year, $7 billion media rights agreement with Fox, CBS, and NBC. It'll begin July 1st, 2023, and run through the end of the 29-30 athletic year. So the Big Ten, which most recently distributed $54 million to each of its member institutions, projects to eventually distribute between $80 and $100 million per year to its 16 members once USC and UCLA are in the league. All three networks will carry future Big Ten football championship games, Fox primarily, but CBS will have it a couple of times. NBC will have it one time in 2026. CBS will air, of course, the afternoon games, and NBC will air night games. So basically, it's going to be 3 windows. Fox at the 11 a.m. window, CBS at 2:30, NBC at night. NBC, of course, is still carrying Notre Dame. They wanted to expand their offerings of college football, and there will still be some Notre Dame night games, maybe against Big Ten opponents. We'll see how that all works out. Big Ten will add a second Black Friday football game. It's been Iowa, Nebraska on Black Friday, similar to what the SEC has done with what was LSU, Arkansas. Now it's Arkansas, Missouri. But they'll add a second one to the Iowa, Nebraska lineup there on Black Friday as well. Big Ten spoke to Turner, Apple, Amazon about the media rights deal. They end their affiliation with ESPN, which they'd had since 1982, so 40 years of broadcasting Big Ten games on ESPN. That comes to a finish for the 2023 football season as well. So the SEC and CBS, their relationship, as we know, was coming to an end, but still 2 more years of SEC football on CBS, 2 more seasons there before that officially and formally runs out. But the thing that was most striking to me today on Twitter. So CBS released Hello Big Ten, Hit the Music. It's a video that they compiled with Big Ten, and that the Big Ten is coming to CBS. They did it. CBS, that'll be the Big Ten on CBS. Basically, the CBS college football theme song. And Twitter melted. Muse was part of the melt earlier as well, as was Hunt Palmer, as you all got your feelings hurt earlier today. And I'm here to tell you, quit being a freaking ninny.
What?
Quit being a freaking ninny. I'm so sick of listening to little ninnies today about this and reading all this on Twitter. No, hold on. For as long as the SEC on CBS has existed, you know what I've heard? Well, they got 4-hour football games. Thanks, CBS. That's what I've heard.
Fact.
Forever. You know what I've heard? Vern Lundquist sucks. Gary Danielson hates my team. He loves Alabama. That's what I've heard. You know what I've heard? Forever. Why do we have to play at 2:30? I hate CBS. The day games suck. Why does CBS blah, 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 blah. All I've heard for as long as the SEC has been on CBS is fans bitch about the SEC on CBS. Today, CBS announces they're doing a deal with the Big Ten, and then there's a melt from fans about it, and now it's breaking your heart, and you can't stand to hear the theme with Big Ten play. Shut up! Quit being a ninny. All you need to know is what channel the damn game's on. Your games are still going to be on TV. Quit complaining about this. Less 2:30 games on CBS. Less Vern and Gary or Brad and Gary or whoever it's going to be, whatever it'll be in the future. Less 4-hour football games. I'm good with it. All of it. Quit being a ninny. Get out of your feelings, Muse.
I love the theme song, man.
I love the theme song, too.
It's going to take some getting used to.
Hey!
It's going to take some getting used to.
We're an ESPN affiliate. What theme do we use?
The CBS theme.
The CBS
exactly.
theme. And you know what?
Awesome.
It ain't going nowhere.
Right, but it's just
not going to get used. We're still going to play it on Fridays. We're still going to play it on Fridays when we do our pick-em. You're going to watch a Big Ten game at 2:30. Maybe if it's a good game, you'll hear the theme.
But
you know
it's
what?
Not the same.
Let me ask you a question, Muse. When Kentucky's playing Tennessee at 2:30 on CBS and on ABC it's Michigan, Ohio State, which game are you watching?
Michigan, Ohio State.
Yeah, because you don't watch it for the damn theme. You
No,
want
but
the theme? I got
it's
an
what
idea.
the theme
I got an idea.
represents.
I got what it represents.
represents.
Get out of your feelings. You like the theme? You like
I
the theme?
love the theme.
You love
It's
the
the
theme?
best.
Pull it up on your phone on YouTube anytime you want to hear it.
I've done that.
Whenever the SEC on ABC comes on, turn the sound down, put the theme on YouTube, and play it so you can hear it and feel better about yourself. Get out of your feelings.
And I love Uncle Vern, man. Talking about Vern was awesome.
Vern is a legendary broadcaster, but his time had come.
Wow.
Have you ever in your life?
Love how you used to always call him Louisiana State, too. He's like the only person ever to
And
do
then
that.
look, people hated that.
was
LSU
so
fans hated
good.
that.
I
He said
fucking hate
Louisiana
that.
State. I don't care. It's Louisiana State.
true.
My favorite LSU basketball jerseys ever. The one that spell out
Quality.
Louisiana State with the little stars on it. I think it's awesome.
Bring it back.
Yeah, bring it back. I love it. Do it. Look, here's Hunt's tweet earlier today. I just threw up on my desk. Look, pull that. Look, Hunt's tweet at Hunt Plum Brady. I just threw up on my desk. Shut up, Hunt. I love you, but quit being a ninny. Do I need to open hand slap Hunt Palmer in the face? I love my guy. I love him.
No, you don't need
I
to
love
do
him.
that.
Hoon Palmario, dear friend. I want to slap him.
No, it's not necessary.
Maybe just one of these. A little
Love tap?
a little
Love
cheek
tap?
pat in the back, and like
Yeah.
like one of those, one on each side, just to get you.
It just looks awkward. It's going to take some getting used to. I don't like it. They should have rebranded and just
No.
got a new theme song. Retired it. Put it in the rafters.
And you know what?
where
Now
it
we hear Round Ball Rock on Fox College basketball.
And that
games.
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't matter. Do you like the theme? You get to hear the theme. Listen to the theme if that's what you care. All you need to know is where your games are going to be played, Muse. Get out of your feelings. Get out of your feelings. All I've heard forever. Bitch about SEC on CBS. All you do is complain about the SEC on CBS. I do too. The 4-hour games suck. It's like commercial, kickoff, commercial, punt, commercial. Look, I get it. Ads make the world go round. There's a way to streamline the process. CBS is the most egregious offender. They're terrible. Their broadcasts are terrible. It kills the flow of football games. I get it. If you like the theme, just go listen to it on YouTube.
My favorite is when they'd have an injury and they'd film the entire thing, and then when the guy gets up to walk off the field, they went to commercial.
Then they go to break.
That's the best.
We're brought to you by Shoots Electric. You know, if a storm came and you were watching the SEC on CBS, you wouldn't be able to do that, Muse, because your power would be out. But now, thanks to Shoots Electric, get that home standby generator. You never have to miss Uncle Vern, although Uncle Vern is retired at this point. It is Shoots Electric, CESofLA.com. If you want that home standby generator, CESofLA.com for Shoots Electric. The process could not have been easier. Shoots handled every single piece of it when I knew nothing about it. They handled the permitting. They handled talking to the power company to get the power shut off when they did the install and the testing. All that stuff I had no idea had to be done. They handled all of it. Shoots Electric, they were amazing to work with. A home standby generator is affordable. Financing is available if you need it. It's Shoots Electric, CESofLA.com. When your power goes out, your home standby generator comes on and powers the entire house. Shoots Electric can make it happen for you like they did for me. CESofLA.com. Okay, let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solution. The Ole Miss Rebels.
A former Ole Miss tight end and linebacker Luke Knox has died. Florida International head coach Mike McIntyre released a statement Thursday morning. Luke Knox is the brother of former Ole Miss and current Buffalo Bills tight end Dawson Knox. He left Ole Miss this offseason via the transfer portal, landed at FIU under Mike McIntyre, who coached Knox at Ole Miss as the defensive coordinator. Knox reportedly died Wednesday evening. No foul play expected. No other details known at this time. Knox was 22 years old.
The Florida Gators.
Quarterback Jack Miller, the Ohio State transfer, did not participate in individual drills for the second consecutive day in Gainesville. Redshirt freshman quarterback Jalen Kitna returned after sitting out Tuesday, however. The absence of Miller has allowed freshman quarterback Max Brown to get more reps. Meanwhile, wide receiver Xavier Henderson returned after missing Tuesday. Ricky Pearsall, the Arizona State transfer, he is still out.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Vandy pass rusher Miles Capers is going to miss the entire 2022 season with a knee injury. Capers suffered the injury during Monday's practice. He will undergo surgery. Capers is a redshirt freshman. He redshirted in 2021, did play in the final 4 games of the season. He was expected to play a bigger role in 2022.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Tennessee's bringing back its smoky gray uniforms. Really, let's be honest. If it existed during the Butch Jones era, it should just stay dead. But they're bringing back the smoky grays, and they're going to do it for the next 4 years with variations of the smoky gray uniforms each year. They debuted them in 2013. Tennessee last wore the smoky grays in a 41-0 loss to Georgia in 2017, which is totally on brand for Butch Jones.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
And cue the fiddles. They are celebrating in T-Town today. Beer and wine are coming to Bryant-Dennehy Stadium. The Alabama Alcoholic Beverage Control Board gave approval to an alcohol license for the vendor at Bryant-Dennehy Stadium, meaning that beer and wine will now be sold at Bama home games. Previously, alcohol was only allowed in the skyboxes there in Tuscaloosa, but now all the commoners at Bryant-Dennehy can have their beer and wine. You think it's going to be boxed wine? It's going to be Franzia? It is Tuscaloosa.
Absolutely.
This isn't Oxford. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. Online at gcopnet.com. That's gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Face-to-face sales, service after the sale, offices in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, the North Shore, Lafayette, all over the place. It's Gulf Coast Office Products. gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. All right, it is After Further Review. Quick break. We'll wrap up hour number 1 when we come back next. And Carter Karels is going to join us in 15 minutes from Tallahassee. He is the Tallahassee Democrat beat writer for Florida State. I want to check in on the Noles. Their quarterback made some, well, let's just say, if you believe in bulletin board material, he might have provided it for the most fierce position group on LSU's team. We're going to talk about that in about 15 minutes from right now. Stay here.
AFR.
Go back to school in style with a new or pre-owned vehicle from Corval Toyota in Opelousas. It's an easy process, and vehicles are getting to our lot weekly. Make the decision now or reserve your new Toyota today. Come on down to Corval Toyota in Opelousas. That's Happy Town, USA.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, wrapping up hour number one. Have you seen what the University of Minnesota is doing? Listen, I am all for promotions. They matter greatly. And especially in non-revenue sports, promotions matter greatly to try to drum up attendance and interest. It's why minor league baseball has some amazing promotions, because nobody actually goes for the baseball, because nobody has an emotional attachment to a minor league team where the goal is not actually to win the games. The goal is to get players better to go help the big league club win. So that's why you have zany names and mascots and promotions and all that stuff at minor league baseball games. So I'm all for a promotion. I get it. This one is just sad, however. The Minnesota Gophers out of the Big Ten, they of the 7-year, $7 billion television media rights deal, Big Ten, they are going to host New Mexico State and Western Illinois to open their season this year. And Minnesota football has partnered with Red Baron Frozen Pizzas on ticket giveaways. I want to remind you, this is Big Ten college football. If you buy 3 Red Baron pizzas, you will get 2 free tickets to one of the Gophers football games, either New Mexico State or Western Illinois. You like Red Baron pizza? Did we have this conversation once before about frozen pizza?
We have.
Because I said DiGiorno is the best, the rising crust and all that stuff, and some people push back on it. It might have even been our...
I think it was overrated, underrated one day, honestly.
I think you had pizza rolls one time was the overrated, underrated, but I thought we did that as a poll question with DiGiorno or Red Baron. We listed several frozen pizzas. A Red Baron I don't find to be very good, by the way. Do you like Red Baron? Were you
Not really, yeah.
Paul,
no,
are you a frozen pizza guy at all?
Not really.
Okay. And you're a pizza roll guy.
Oh, pizza rolls are
Pizza
great.
rolls is your thing. And I like DiGiorno. Either way, it's very sad. By the way, Huntington Bank Stadium, beautiful venue that they built in 2009. The Minnesota Vikings played there, if you remember, when the Metrodome was imploded and they built a new stadium for Minnesota for the Vikings. But when I look at this, first of all, it's dreadfully sad that you have to give away tickets with a frozen pizza purchase for a Big Ten school. But it reminds me of just what a mistake PJ Fleck made going to Minnesota. You realize he's going into his 6th year in Minnesota? He's going to his 6th season at Minnesota. He is completely forgotten there. PJ Fleck tried to get the LSU job. Who wouldn't? But his representatives very much wanted to be in the mix for the LSU job. He's only 41 years old, but he is completely free. He is in a trap in Minnesota. And by the way, when he was at Western Michigan, he's only 41. He won one game his first year, then went 8, 8th, and 13th, the undefeated season. Then they went to the Cotton Bowl and lost to Wisconsin, that Cotton Bowl. He was Billy Napier. He was the hot young coach that everybody wanted. But Napier proved, don't just take a job because of big job offers. He turned down Mississippi State and South Carolina. He turned down a lot of big jobs and ultimately landed a great job at Florida. PJ Fleck screwed up in a big way taking that Minnesota job. I mean, had he been patient, he would have been able to punch his ticket to a much more desirable destination, and now he is just stuck in purgatory where they're giving away tickets in exchange for frozen pizza purchases. Let's go to Tallahassee coming up right after SportsCenter.
AFR.
As we put a button here on hour number 1, I want to remind you about the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020, or williamsoneye.com. That's williamsoneye.com. Eye care, eyewear, eye surgery, the three things that they help you with. Eye care, you need that family eye exam. They can help you out. It's back to school time. Get the kiddos in there, get their eyes checked out. Make sure they can see the board. They don't use chalkboards anymore in school, I don't imagine, but the whiteboards there in school. Make sure they can see it well. If you need glasses, the Williamson Eye Center at their optical shops are offering a buy one, get one 50% off. So buy a pair of glasses, get the second pair 50% off, or if you want to throw those glasses and contacts in the trash and be done with them forever, the Williamson Eye Center can help with that as well. If it's LASIK, if it's PRK, if it's a lens replacement, no matter your age or your refractive issue, if you want to see 2020 without contacts or glasses, Dr. Blake Williamson can make it help. 924-2020 or williamsoneye.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best things in summer are unofficial. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. There's a settlement in the Deshaun Watson disciplinary matter. The Browns quarterback is suspended for 11 games and fined $5 million. He's accused of sexual assault and inappropriate conduct by 30 women. In spite of settling most of those cases and agreeing to the discipline, Watson says again today he is innocent and will eventually tell his side of the story.
A lot of people wasn't able to or didn't really pay too much attention to it, but one day we will. Only time will tell. And, like I said before, just continue to keep being the person I am, keep showing the community how good of a human being I am. I have always been, how I was raised, and I just want to continue to show that and, keep pushing forward.
Deshaun Watson. Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady is still away from the team for personal reasons. Coach Todd Bowles wouldn't say today exactly when Brady would be back. Bowles does say he expects Brady to be the starter in the season opener against the Cowboys. ESPN's Greg Wyshynski reports free agent center Nazem Kadri will sign a 7-year deal with the Flames.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Let's ride.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Matt. I am sweating. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yusu. And Mr. Toby Tom Plate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. We'll head up to Lambeau 1 hour from right now. Our buddy Ross Jackson from Locked on Pelicans Locked on Saints and Saints Wire. Why would we talk to the Locked on Pelicans guy? I love Jake Madison, but I don't really want to talk to him about the Saints. So Ross Jackson 1 hour from right now to give us an update from Saints camp up in Green Bay. Let's head down now to Tallahassee. Very pleased to be joined again by Carter Karels from NoleSports.com. Joined us a few weeks back as Florida State was kicking off camp. Of course, they got to start a week earlier because they do play week 0. And good enough to join us again. Carter, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure. We appreciate you for coming back. So Florida State's a little more than a week away from their week 0 opener. Do you get a sense that this is a team, a program ready to play a football game yet?
Yeah, absolutely. They actually had a chance to start preseason camp much earlier than everyone else did since they got a week 0 game. And I think they're kind of anxiously waiting to get that game kicked off. They really had their toughest stretch of practice last week, and they've kind of ramped it down a little bit this week. And they've started kind of implementing more game week sort of situations and, preparing a little bit more for that first week 0 matchup against Duquesne. So I think they're ready to get this thing started, and we're 9 days away.
I saw that Florida State practiced in Jacksonville. How? Why? Is that a normal thing? Can you kind of fill us in there?
Yeah, so they started it last year. Before that, they did a couple practices in the preseason at IMG Academy, a couple different years. But the last 2 years, it's been in Jacksonville. And the reason is simply to just make the team feel uncomfortable. Kind of like a little church camp or some sort of time away where the team can bond. They're sleeping in uncomfortable twin beds without pillows, and they're spending the whole time with the team. You know, when you're in preseason camp on campus, you go back to your apartment, you go back to your girlfriend, you still kind of live out your personal life. But in this setting, you know, you're only with the team, you're only doing things with the team, and it's very much a camp-like environment. And they also try to make them very uncomfortable, and as far as how physical the practices were. Those were the most physical practices they had all preseason camp, and really their mission was let's try to find out what this team's identity is. By the end of the week, they had 6 straight practices. Last Saturday, they had their second scrimmage of the preseason, and we asked Mike Norvell, okay, what's the identity? And he said, you know, I think this team is tough. This is a team that, you know, like, in other words, he basically was saying this is a team that can kind of fight through adversity. You know, if there's an injury or if there's a tough day, you know, this is a team that can finish well in November. So that was kind of the point of that, to test the team and see how they responded. And I think Mike Norvell liked how they responded.
You know, Carter, we talked the last time you were here about how Florida State had to dip into the transfer portal, similar to how LSU did as well. As best you can tell, or as open as players and coaches are being, who have been the standouts so far, maybe the unknowns that seem to have emerged here in this camp?
From the transfer portal or just in general?
I would say just in general.
That maybe wasn't expected is what you're... Yeah, just so Wilson at wide receiver is a big name to know. He really has the potential to be their leading receiver this year. 35-pound receiver who transferred in from Arizona State. Issues with ball and just being on the field. He finally kind of put it all together, and now he is the most dominant receiver. 235. He's that guy that can get down those, you know, jump balls for you. So whether he is more of a red zone guy or still needs to be a little bit more consistent, but that's a guy to watch. At linebacker, he transferred in from UC, all ACC safety last season, and I think the running back group, they've got a transfer from the University of Oregon and Trey Benson, who I think is their most complete back with the combination of power, speed, explosiveness. Lawrence Toafili is another guy who, you know, Mike Norvell called the other day the most improved player on the roster. And then you got Trayshawn Ward, a former walk-on who, you know, earned a scholarship last season and did a pretty good job. And he's just another guy in there. I think it's kind of a three-headed monster at running back that they feel really good about.
A couple more for you. Carter Karels is our guest from NolesSports.com. That's a Tallahassee Democrat. Let's talk quarterback. You have an incumbent there in Jordan Travis. How, based so far, what's sort of a realistic expectation for him in growth year to year?
So I think he has been a hard quarterback to judge in years past because his weapons have been just bad, plain out bad. I mean, if you were to rank all the wide receiving groups in the ACC last year, Florida State's by far is last place. And it was a position they really needed to solidify. They added 4 transfers. They feel a lot better about that. But, you know, to judge a guy who just doesn't have any weapons is kind of hard. But now that he has better weapons, you've seen him hit on more plays down the field. You see him have more confidence in the decisions that he's making. And just overall, more one-on-one opportunities, right? There are more receivers beating their man one-on-one. And so because of that, you're naturally going to have, a lot more of those plays down the field. And, what makes Jordan Travis special is his legs. But I think where you've seen him take his game to the next level this offseason has been kind of the confidence he's had in the pocket, the decision making, and just kind of the deep balls from him. I still don't think this is a receiving group that is super great. I don't know if they have a top option just yet. I talked about Johnny Wilson. He hasn't been consistent enough to really say, oh, he's going to be number one. So, it's a stacked year at quarterback in the ACC this year. I would probably rank Jordan Travis right in the middle of that group, 7th, 6th, 7th, 8th, I think is a reasonable expectation. But he should definitely take a jump this year because the weapons around him are better, the offensive line's better, and the running back position, I believe, is better.
Glaring weaknesses right now on the roster?
Well, so when you look at offense, I would just say they don't have that number one option at receiver. They don't have a Keyshawn Butte, right?
Right.
Not many teams do, but they really don't. And then maybe offensive line, I think it is much better of an offensive line than when Mike Norvell walked through the door. It was one of the nation's worst when he walked in the door. It's still not great, but it's not atrocious. But it's still not great. Defensively, I mean, they had to replace the ACC Defensive Player of the Year in Jermaine Johnson and a third-team All-ACC defensive end in Keir Thomas. So I think the defensive ends will take a step back this year. But I think where the weaknesses lie are more with the offense than the defense. I think the defense doesn't have as many glaring weaknesses, whereas the offense, the weapons and just, the tight end room and the O-line, they're still not where they should be. And the defense has definitely been better than the offense this offseason.
Hey, Carter, before you go, I noticed also in your Twitter bio that you work for the South Bend Tribune. So you covered Notre Dame, and I would presume Brian Kelly as well. So let me flip it, knowing what you know about Brian Kelly and covering the game a year ago with Florida State and Notre Dame. What do you think about Brian Kelly in particular in this first year with LSU?
Man, how much time do you have?
As much as you need.
Brian Kelly is just fascinating to me because it's like he has reinvented himself and adapted in so many ways since he became Notre Dame's head coach. And I think this is just another step in the evolution for him. And I think time will tell if it was a good bet or not. I think when you look at LSU, there are reasons to suggest why he would succeed and why he wouldn't succeed. Why he would succeed is, if Les Miles and Ed Orgeron can do it, why can't a guy who has, had so much success at a place like Notre Dame and, can have a better recruiting base, better geography to recruit from, why can't he have success there? That's the reason for that. The second, the reason why he may not have success is, what are you measuring as success? Because when you're going up against Alabama and A&M and, potentially Georgia, and now you're adding OU and Texas to the mix, are LSU fans going to be okay if he's rebuilding and doesn't get, 11 or 12 wins for the next couple seasons? Because that might be what it requires. And so I think he's going to be great for LSU in terms of stabilizing that program, because I think it was a little chaotic over the last couple of years. They needed someone to come in there and stabilize it. And this is someone who, ever since 2017, he's been smart in terms of making the right decisions, making the right hires, having the right philosophies. So I think that will be good for stabilizing that program. It's just long term, is this somebody who can take them to and win a national championship? Because I think ultimately that's the goal for him. That's what success is measured by at LSU. And it's a really hard standard. And you can be a great coach and not win a championship. And that happened with him at Notre Dame. So whether that happens at LSU, I'm not sure. But again, I think the floor with him is high because he's someone who's going to stabilize that program and build a pretty promising future for them.
Great perspective. Carter Karels, thanks so much for a couple of minutes, man. I will certainly bother you again before this game. Thanks for the time today, man.
Yeah, man. Have a ton of Brian Kelly stories. So if you ever need me, I'm here for you.
You got 15 more minutes?
Are you serious? You want me to?
I mean, I was going to talk about the Saints being the most complete team in the NFL next, but I'll take Brian Kelly stories if you want, or we can do it another day. Up to you.
Hey, man, I'll tell you one.
Okay.
So I was actually not covering Florida State last season. I was at the South Bend Tribune, got laid off last March, and I didn't get this job until January. So I was kind of a free agent, and I was on vacation and was actually in Baton Rouge the week after he was hired at LSU. And I went to this restaurant, I think it's called Karels.
Parans, yeah, Parans.
Parans?
Yeah, Parans.
And I sit down, I'm with my girlfriend, I just look over to my right, and there he is, Brian Kelly, right to my right. And I couldn't believe it. This was during the firestorm of everything that had happened. It had been 2 days, I think, since the whole family debacle. And all of this had happened that week. And I'm like, what are the odds that this happened? He's probably a little creeped out that, he's probably thinking that I stopped him and just showed up. But no, it was just total coincidence. And so I went up to him. We talked for a good long time. And one of the things that really was hilarious was I don't know how this got brought up, but I just said, yeah, you got a Southern accent now, I hear. And he genuinely had no idea, like, why everyone was talking about that. He was like, yeah, what's the deal with that? I don't even understand what I said or what I did. Was it a word I used? And I said, man, Brian, I think it's because you said family. And he just starts dying laughing. And I think what I like about Brian is he's not afraid to make fun of himself. He's a pretty funny guy, and he was totally cool with me making fun of his Southern accent. So it was a good time. And I did tell him that was actually at the time I was taking the FSU job. I told him, yeah, I'm taking the FSU job. And I think the person with him was like, we don't say Florida State around here because that's our opener next season. So they were already thinking about Florida State last December.
Well, that one's been circled for a while for obvious reasons. Carter, we're going to visit again. I'd love to go down that rabbit hole even further, but you've been very generous with your time, man. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir. You guys have a good one.
You do the same. Carter Karels, NoleSports.com. I definitely want to explore that a bit more. Carter also wrote about one position group in particular at Florida State that I want to get to. We'll come back to that. But when we come back, let's talk a little black and gold, little Saints, when we come back. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time, or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. Give them a buzz. They'll come out to the house. Remember, it doesn't matter if it's nights, holidays, or weekends. They'll always come out, and they'll never charge you extra to come out nights, holidays, and weekends. Who else can say that? River City's 1 Hour Air can. They've been doing that for 40 years. It's why they've got legions of loyal customers. I'm in that number. River City's 1 Hour Air has been to my house whenever we have an issue for our standard maintenance that we talk about seasonally as part of the membership club, which I highly recommend you join the service membership club at River City's 1 Hour Air. It gives you complimentary seasonal maintenance. You get front-of-the-line service, membership club pricing. It's worth it. River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with a giant clock on the side. 752-0001, whether they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to? Let Revelry Sports and Entertainment set up your luxury tailgate on campus. Order what you want and just show up.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Hey, thanks again to Carter Karels for joining us. We went a little long with him there, longer than I anticipated, because we went down the sort of Brian Kelly rabbit hole. The intention of the segment was to do a Florida State sort of check-in. And I do want to revisit something he said here in just a moment. But one of the things that Carter wrote about there at NoleSports.com, this was either today or yesterday. I literally read it today, but I don't know if it published today or yesterday. Florida State quarterback Jordan Travis made a pretty bold statement while talking about one position group. And I want you to understand the way that I want to read this to you is without any names. So just think of this without context and think about what pops into mind. Quote, "That's probably the best D-line we'll face all year long. The D-line is very tough to go against every single day. a bunch of guys who are fast, strong. Those guys are very talented. It's a blessing for us that we get to come here and play against those guys every day. I feel like a lot of these guys are going to play in the NFL one day, so it's great for us to be able to compete against them every single day. Also, that was the quote from Jordan Travis, the quarterback. In this piece, Karels wrote, "No unit in practice has been consistently more overmatched than the interior offensive line. The noticeable difference between the two units certainly speaks to how the offensive line has room for improvement, but it also indicates how dominant the defensive tackles could be." Yo, that sounds exactly like LSU, doesn't it? If I told you you feel like your offense is going against the best D-line they'll face all year, they're all going to be NFL players, the interior of the offensive line has been overmatched, it's good for them to get to go against them every single day. I mean, that sounds like LSU. Florida State and LSU in that respect are essentially mirror images. Both have dominant defensive line, or defensive lines that are dominating right now in practice, and an offensive line that is struggling as a unit to keep up with those defensive linemen. So it really begs the question, which offensive line is going to hold up in New Orleans against a really good defensive line? The interesting thing, though, is that Florida State defensive line, which is dominating its offensive line right now, they lost Jermaine Johnson, y'all. That was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. Kyer Thomas was third-team All-ACC. They lost their starting defensive ends. Now they get Robert Cooper and Fabian Lovett back on the interior at defensive tackle, but you lost your ends. So it's really interesting. I mean, LSU is sort of the opposite in that you lost your two veteran tackles in Neil Farrell and Glenn Logan, but you return your ends in Ali Gay and B.J. Ojulari. I know he's labeled a jack now, linebacker, but you understand the position being the same as an edge rusher. So I could argue that LSU's better with Mason Smith and Jaquelin Roy. A year older, you're stronger, you're better, you're more physical. Maybe Florida State might try to argue the same thing. I don't know. But it was really interesting to look at that. By the way, Florida State's offensive line is going to start 2 transfers and 3 redshirt sophomores starting for the first time. I mean, it is eerie how similar these two teams are on paper at the line of scrimmage. And the more it just makes sense that you got to focus on the offensive line, because whichever offensive line in that game is ready to play and plays the best is probably going to win that game. It was also interesting listening to Carter Karels when I asked him about Brian Kelly. So that context is he covers Florida State right now, but his last job was in South Bend, covering Notre Dame for the South Bend Tribune. So he knew Brian Kelly and covered Brian Kelly there in South Bend. And so I was asking him about Brian Kelly, and this was unprompted. I didn't talk, but this is what he said about Brian Kelly at LSU.
Great for LSU in terms of stabilizing that program, because I think it was a little chaotic over the last couple of years. It's just long term, is this somebody who can take them to and win a national championship? Because I think ultimately that's the goal for him. That's what success is measured by at LSU. And it's a really hard standard. And you can be a great coach and not win a championship. And you know, that happened with him at Notre Dame. So I think the floor with him is high because he's someone who's going to stabilize that program and build a pretty promising future for them.
The floor with him is high. That's the point I've made about this LSU team all offseason. Every interview I do, people keep asking me about LSU's win total, and I keep saying, look, I think their ceiling is probably lower than fans would hope. I think the ceiling for this team is probably 9 wins. And the floor is 7. I think the floor is higher than most people outside of Baton Rouge think. And usually that gets a reaction like, whoa, really? Yeah. I mean, they're going to win their non-conference games, and I think they'll go 4-4 in the league and go 8-4. So, yeah, I think when you have a coach that's a proven winner, that's a stabilizing force, and I've told you, I've given you all this number before, 32 years as a head coach. Brian Kelly's had 2 losing seasons. 30 of his 32 years, he's had a winning record. in the 2 losing seasons. One of them was his first year at Central Michigan when he took over an awful program and very quickly got them back to being a winning program. And the other was sort of the one-off year in South Bend when they went 4-8. So I agree. The floor, when Les Miles was at LSU, for all of the faults that people say he has and everything that we seem to now have been learned about some of the off-the-field stuff, Les's worst team ever won 8 games. The worst team he had in Baton Rouge won 8 games in 2008. He hired good coaches. He recruited good players. He largely had good systems in place. He just couldn't get his hands out of the offense. That's ultimately what cost him his job. But I think Brian Kelly is going to be very similar in that respect. Your floor is just much higher at a place like LSU when you are a competent head coach. All right, it's after further review. We're brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service and name brand tires at wholesale prices. You know where to find them, ShawBillsTire.com. That's ShawBillsTire.com. Go to the website and hit the promotions tab at the top. You'll see all the different dealer specials they have right now from the manufacturer, their own in-house offers. Ask about the Shaw Bills credit card. When you use the Shaw Bills credit card, you get $50 off your first purchase with the Shaw Bills credit card. Because they have to charge something on the card, but you're rolling. 30 minutes from Green Bay. So when we come back, there's an interesting commentary today about the Saints' potential. We'll talk about that when we come back. And also high praise from Dennis Allen. You're going to hear that next. Glad you're with us. It's AFR.
AFR.
Fall betting plant. You can do it right now, and Clegg's has the inventory, and they've got Johnny Naylor's seeds. So if you're a green thumb or you have always been interested in maybe planting your own vegetable garden, here is your opportunity. Get by Clegg's, pick up Johnny Naylor's seeds, plant that fall vegetable garden, and enjoy watching it grow. It's a great way to have a family activity that you could all do together and watch your vegetables grow. Great exercise for some people just to get outside and get out in the yard. It's Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area: Seagan near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. You know where all those Clegg's Nursery locations are. And Clegg's is partnered with True Value Hardware Store. So anything you'd find at a True Value Hardware Store, you'll also find at Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations for more than 60 years. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like, we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Go back to school in style with the new our pre-owned vehicle from Corval Toyota in Opelousas. It's an easy process, and vehicles are getting to our lot weekly. Make the decision now or reserve your new Toyota today. Come on down to Corval Toyota in Opelousas. That's Happy Town, USA.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, rolling along. Muso's going to have Tigers in the pros coming up about 10 minutes from right now. And we'll head to Green Bay. Ross Jackson is there covering the Saints. That's at the top of hour number 3. Saints' second preseason game is tomorrow at Lambeau against the Packers. We know there will be no Jameis Winston. That game's another opportunity for Andy Dalton and a larger opportunity, I would presume, for Ian Book. And the sort of good news out of New Orleans, I guess out of Green Bay, is James Hurst, who left practice yesterday with an injury. It is not feared to be serious. So that is good news with a couple of weeks out here still from the opener for the Saints, as they will be in Atlanta for the opener on September the 11th. So we have had this conversation here all offseason surrounding the Saints about the caliber and quality of the roster. And the reason that it's been a little perplexing for New Orleans is because I and many of you, I'm certain, believe the Saints are a very talented roster, where when healthy, you've got a really good offensive line. You've got one of the best defensive ends in football in Cameron Jordan. Certainly some very talented, athletic guys across the front. Mario Davis, who's an all-pro linebacker. We know the free agent moves you made to acquire Marcus May and Tyrann Mathieu and Jarvis Landry. You add Chris Olave, Taysom Hill's back in his slash role. I mean, look, you know the list at this point. And the Saints roster is so good and deep and talented that it's odd to look at the Saints, where odds makers have the Saints at, as an 8-win football team, and how much general doubt there is. And maybe that is largely rooted in the fact that Sean Payton is no longer here. And I'm not going to minimize that. I think that is certainly significant. We saw that again in 2012, where no matter what processes you had in place with great team leadership you had, again, that 2012, you were coming off the greatest season in Saints history, the greatest team in Saints history. And you were 7-9. You had the worst defense in the history of the league. So, yes, the head coach matters, and I don't want to minimize Sean Payton's absence. But still seeing so much doubt around New Orleans is odd. So Daniel Jeremiah said essentially the Saints could be a team where if other teams were interested, maybe trying to poach players, make an offer, make a trade offer, the Saints could be in rebuild mode, which the Saints have been adamant they're not in rebuild mode. And when you look at the roster, it doesn't make sense at all for them to be in rebuild mode. I say all of that because Bart Scott was on First Take with Stephen A. today, and this is about a 2-minute interaction, but it's basically 2 minutes of Bart Scott explaining why the Saints are probably the best team in football.
This. Jameis Winston is no Drew Brees. And you're going to have to be Drew Brees for this Saints team to come out of the NFC.
Nah, man.
I don't see that happening.
You don't have to.
I believe in that defense, though. I believe in that defense, and I believe in Kamara, and I believe in Michael Thomas, but I'm not sure about Winston yet.
He doesn't even have to be great. He just has to be good. And I think he is one of the most talented quarterbacks. You talk about arm strength, accuracy. Yeah. Listen, environment matters, right? Just like we learned about Matthew Stafford in Detroit, never winning a playoff game. Environment matters. And now he's in an environment where he can flourish. You talk about Jarvis Landry. This team has leaders. This team has been knocking on the door for the last 5 years, and finally they have a complete package. You got Chris Olave, who's going to be the opposite of Michael Thomas on the outside. They brought in leaders. Marcus May is on this team now. I know they lost Marcus Williams, but Marcus May. They brought in a Honey Badger, a champion, a show-enough bona fide baller to come back with Cam Jordan. They have leaders on that squad now. And my only concern was, okay, how are they going to replace Armstead? Well, they go out there and get Trevor Penny, who really delighted everybody at the Senior Bowl at Northern Iowa. They have Ramczyk, who's an all-pro on the other side. This team has no flaws. And if you say the only flaw they have is Jameis Winston, that is a very small flaw. This allows Taysom Hill to be who he's always been, a gadget guy, a situational football player. Alvin Kamara is one of the best in the business, dual threat. This team is, listen, and already this team has beaten Tom Brady, the great Tom Brady, 4 out of 5 times. And the only time they lost, it was because Drew Brees was the quarterback and they weren't able to push the ball down the field, so they just packed the middle of the field and played everything in front. You can't do that with Jameis Winston. I'm telling you, the Saints are a legitimate threat to be a Super Bowl champion, and I think we're going to erase all the narratives that we had about Jameis Winston, all the funny stuff, him sucking his fingers, him stealing crab legs, ha, ha, ha. This guy is a pro. This guy is a respected leader, and now he's around a bunch of other leaders. And for everybody who's talking about, well, Sean Payton's not there, well, neither is Bruce Arians. And we're not talking about Todd Bowles. We still have, Carmichael, who's been there. We have Dennis Allen, who's been there. I think they should be the favorite, and they are the most complete team in football.
They are the most complete team in football. Bart Scott said the Saints are a Super Bowl contender and are the most complete team in football. He might have gotten over his skis a little bit saying they're the most complete team in football. And there are certainly teams with better quarterbacks, more established defensive front seven. I understand that. But the Saints have very few holes in this roster. And look, you're in a division where Carolina stinks and Atlanta stinks. And I'm telling you again right now, where is Tom Brady? Yo, where is Tom Brady? I mean, ever since the news came out about the tampering stuff with the Dolphins, Tom Brady has vanished. He is not at camp. Tom Brady, I'm not telling you Tom Brady needs practice. He's the greatest player ever. We all understand that. But you got a new head coach. You turned over a bunch of guys on your roster. Chris Godwin's coming off a torn ACL. I mean, you bring in Julio Jones. You're not getting timing there, and he's 100 years old. You bring in Kyle Rudolph. Gronk's retired. He's coming off the worst season of his career. And Ndamukong Suh still hasn't re-signed. You lose your 3 interior offensive linemen. Ryan Jensen, your starting center, is done for the year with injury. So you got a new starting center, and Tom Brady's not there. Like, where's Tom Brady? I'm telling you, man, the more every day passes, I get more and more and more bullish on the New Orleans Saints winning the NFC South. Every single day that passes, I get more bullish on that. Not only possibility, but probability. Where are you, Tom? Why is ESPN not on FS1, whoever, NFL Network, why are they not on 24/7, 365 Tom Brady watch? Stunning to me that this is not headline news every day, that the greatest quarterback in the history of the game goes AWOL and just nobody seems to care. He'll make his way back eventually. It's after further review. We're brought to you by DraftKings, official sports betting partner of AFR. College football is almost here, y'all. Great deal right now from DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. If you're a new customer, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. Bet just $5 on any college football bet. A early line of a college football game, prop bet, future win totals, all of it. Get to the DraftKings Sportsbook. Bet just $5 on college football. They'll give you $200 in free bets, win or lose. It's at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Again, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. Same game parlays. The more legs you add, the more you can win. Major League Baseball. otters and fuego. Whatever you want to bet on, you can do it at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code Baton Rouge. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. One per new customer. Minimum $5 deposit and wager. $200 issued as 8 $25 free bets. Restrictions apply. See terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Licensing partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-7-0-STOP. Why does it sound like I'm talking to a can?
I think because we sped it up so much.
No, it doesn't. We speed up the disclaimer all the time. That one just has like a can. Like it sounds like I'm in a can.
We can redo it.
But I don't really care. I'm just curious why it sounds like that.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. All right, it's after further review. We're heading to Green Bay in 15 minutes. Ross Jackson will be here. If you want to join us, you always can. Email us, tweet us, text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Glad you're with us. It's AFR.
AFR.
Buying or selling commercial or residential. When you think real estate, you only need to know one name. Think Darren James. Call Darren today, 335-7666. That's his cell phone. You can call Darren. You can text him right now. Text Darren. Be like, hey, heard Scone shouting you out. 335-7666 or agent225.com. I say this often, and I mean it sincerely. It doesn't matter if you've got a $100,000 house or $100 million house. Darren has a way of making you feel like you are his only client. There's a condo in Jefferson's condo for $170K. There's a home right there in Shadows of Ascension for $509,000, a beautiful home. Darren's got a listing in Baton Rouge that's over $1.2 million right now. So if you're buying or selling commercial or residential, you need to sell your home. You need Darren James.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking.
after further review with Matt Moscona. Presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Wrapping up hour number 2. We're heading to Lambeau in a little more than 10 minutes from right now to chat with Ross Jackson from Locked On Saints. Right now, though, Musso has Tigers in the Pro.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
All right, so Alex Bregman is on another planet right now. It's the top of the 9th inning on the south side. The Astros are up 17-5, and Bregman's a huge, huge reason for that.
Venus?
3 for 5. It could be Venus. 3 for 5, 2 homers, so that puts him up to 18 on the year. Also a double, that puts him up to 31 on the year. How about 6 RBI and 3 runs scored for Bregman, whose average is now up to 262.
There's the yak, one of them anyway. This was the one in the 6th inning. Boom.
I mean, it looked like a beach ball to the guy right now. It's insane. He's just on another planet. Hope he keeps it up.
Uranus?
Maybe Alex Bregman is on Uranus. He could be. The Austin Nola.
I spent a lot of time with T-Bob now.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
Callahan! I just expect more, Matt. I just expect more. Austin Nola last night, 1 for 4 with a single in the Padres' victory. Did also draw a walk, so on base twice. A really solid 244 average there for Austin Nola. Alex Lang got roughed up last night. Blown save for the Langer. A third of an inning, 4 hits and 3 earned runs. Did walk 1 and struck out 1. Second blown save of the year for Alex Lang, but it's just been really, really solid.
You're a blown save.
I'm not a blown save.
You are?
Nope.
Face is a blown save.
Lyle Collins not in training camp with the Bengals right now. Out again on Wednesday, missing practice. Zach Taylor mentioned it was a personal issue that he is not comfortable commenting on. That is per Richard Skinner from WKRC. You'll remember Collins signed a 3-year, $21 million contract, $5 million guaranteed with the Bengals this offseason.
I do remember.
Started training camp on the non-football injury list, was cleared and practiced on August 10th, participated again on August 14th. But Collins has yet to participate in team drills and again, not at practice today. Sam Burns in the second round of the FedEx Cup playoffs got his day started in the BMW Championship, shot a 2-under round. So he currently sits 5 shots off the lead of Keegan Bradley, who is at 7 under. No cut in this event, so Burns is around for the weekend. Needs to remain in the top 30 in the FedEx Cup standings to make it to the Tour Championship. Currently sits at 4th, sitting in pretty good shape. That's Tigers in the pros.
And?
Oh, gosh. Are you going to do this to me every day?
Well, Muse.
They're not. We've reached a certain point in the season. We're FedEx Cup playoffs only right now, Matt.
It's a sad state of affairs when audience members are doing your job for you, Muse.
What are you talking about?
Rob Neely. Rob Neely texted my text line, said, FYI, Ben Taylor is playing in the Korn Ferry playoffs. Got an opportunity to make money. And our boy, Curtis Thompson, who you hate.
I do not hate Curtis Thompson.
He's playing to earn his card. And Jacob Bergeron.
Look, there's a lot of different things. Tour, not always high on the list. Camps around the NFL and preseason. There's a lot. Sometimes some things just fall through the cracks.
It's just amazing.
He does not always. He does not always fall through the cracks.
Thank you, Rob Neely, for your diligence, for your hard work and effort to do Muso's job for him.
Well, that's Tigers in the pros.
presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Maybe I'll get Rob Neely some Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry as a thank you. LMFJ.com. I mean, I'm not going to get engaged to Rob Neely, but I probably won't get him jewelry either. But maybe Rob Neely should go to Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Or you should go. 2 locations in Baton Rouge. Corporate in Bocage. Also in the Mall of Louisiana. 9 locations in all. Listen, when you buy a diamond, you want a thriller. You want to look at her hand every day for the rest of her life and smile. And you'd be the hero. Lee Michaels makes that happen every day and has for 40 years. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. All right, SportsCenter's coming up. Get you caught up on national headlines. When we come back, we're heading to Lambeau Field. Ross Jackson next. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com, Michelli.com. Milestone anniversary here in 2022 for Michelli as they are celebrating 75 years in business, 75 years of local ownership and operation, 75 years of continuing to grow while maintaining that local footprint, now 29 offices across 11 different states, 6 calibration labs in Louisiana alone. 3 of them, by the way, are hiring. The New Orleans Harahan office, the Baton Rouge office, and the Lake Charles office. You go to the website at Michelli.com, hit the careers tab right there at the top of the page, and you'll see where you can apply for a job at Michelli. You want to work for a locally owned and operated company that values people and has for 75 years. You're looking for Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Check them out online at Michelli.com. They service all scale and measurement equipment makes and models. Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com.
Bayou Ford has $14,000 off MSRP on a new 2021 Ford F-150. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. The NFL and the Players Association reach a settlement on Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson, who gets an 11-game suspension and a $5 million fine. ESPN's Adam Schefter.
I think both sides are giving up something here, which really is the idea of any settlement. I think the NFL would have liked not to have seen Deshaun Watson on the field at all this season. Deshaun Watson, again, last week expressed remorse for the first time and continued to feel like even the 6-game suspension was unfair in his mind.
Adam Schefter. Watson will not play again in the preseason. The first game he'd be eligible to play would be in Week 13 against his old team, the Texans, in Houston. Watson is accused by 30 women of sexual assault and other inappropriate behavior. Baseball today, the Cardinals sweep the Rockies 13-0. Albert Pujols with a pinch hit grand slam, career home run number 690. The Brewers beat the Dodgers in Milwaukee 5-3.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. And now, a no-frills ad brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Here it is. You can save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive. That's it. See? Just a good old-fashioned, straightforward ad. See if you could save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE or Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Yusu. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock, quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. Saints and Packers tomorrow from Lambeau Field, preseason game number 2. That'll be Friday evening. We head back up to Lambeau, or to Green Bay, I should say. One final time for a check-in. Our buddy Ross Jackson from Locked on Saints and Saints Wire, good enough to do the honors today. How are you, man?
Hey, buddy. Doing great. Thanks so much for having me on. Definitely enjoying the change of weather.
That seems to be the consensus from everyone who drew the assignment. Today was just supposed to be like an easy walkthrough, and then I hear Jarvis Landry's fighting and people are getting kicked out of practice. So what happened?
I'm not sure about today was the easy walkthrough, but we did see Jarvis Landry have an issue yesterday with a sort of mix up with, I believe it was Eric Stokes that ended up getting him removed from practice. And so, look, this is not the first time we've heard Jarvis Landry sort of have this kind of, I'll call it a dust-up or kind of skirmish moment. Things like that. Remember back in OTAs and minicamps, he and Vincent Gray also went back and forth a little bit. That seems to be more verbal than it was actually physical. So I'm not saying that this is anything that, is going to end up causing any type of concern or anything in terms of, is this some kind of, just who Jarvis Landry is, or is Jarvis Landry's actions going to be something that's going to be a distraction? These guys are editors and very clearly has zero tolerance for any kind of, these, kind of physical situations that have taken part in practice a couple of times now that we've seen it. So, this is just one of those situations where you saw two competitors go a little bit too far and Dennis Allen putting the kibosh on it pretty quickly.
Yeah, my apologies. I see that was at Wednesday's practice, and today's actually Thursday. So I screwed up. My bad on that. So today was a walkthrough. Did you all have access at all today?
I don't believe so. I certainly wasn't able to make it out there for that one.
Okay.
But, not much that we usually get to see during walkthroughs. Right. Walkthroughs are usually kind of just, a little bit of this, a little bit of that in terms of them literally walking through what it is that they're, kind of looking to implement the next day. I imagine it was a lot of Andy Dalton and Ian Book getting ready for Friday's game.
Let's look back at the 2 full days of practice, and then I'll ask some perspective for the game and what to watch. What was, if you had maybe a bullet point, couple of big takeaways from the days of inter-squad practices, what would you say?
Yeah, look, I think defense was definitely a huge part of the conversation when it came to those first 2 practices. The Saints defense and the Green Bay defense both performed extremely well. But the thing that I really enjoyed about watching the Saints defense is just the sort of variety of names that you saw pop on the field at some point, whether it was Paulson Adebo with the downfield pass breakup, or Bradley Roby with a downfield interception, or Marcus May with a downfield interception. And when it wasn't some of those big name guys, sometimes it was some of the guys that we tend to kind of, I would call them unsung for a little while. Guys like Malcolm Roach, who, consistently drew pressure or consistently caused pressure, was very disruptive in both the pass and the run game. Tano Passanio with a sack to end Aaron Rodgers' last 2-minute drill simulation yesterday after a Paulson Adebo pass breakup. So one of the things that I really enjoyed is just the variety of places where plays are being made over the defensive side. It's not just those big names. It's not just those starters, but every now and then you're just hearing some names like Chase Hansen and Eric Wilson, and even a guy like John Bostic, who's played very well in the run game. So I really enjoyed that. And then the other kind of thing that I would highlight would be over on the offensive side, even when the offense hasn't been impressive and it's stumbled going up against that really good Green Bay Packers defense throughout these last couple of days, the big names that you expect that can still come out there and make plays and making plays. Chris Olave had probably his maybe strongest kind of outing in camp so far on Wednesday. Michael Thomas had a really solid day. Alvin Kamara continues to get a lot of work. So I think that what that goes to show you is that regardless of which quarterback is under center, regardless of what the game situation may be, I think to have a defense that can win them games, and they have an offense and enough skill position players now in the offense that can make those 1 or 2 plays that can be a big impact moment for you in games.
Ross, I know our focus is the Saints, but it's kind of hard to avoid what happened with the Packers in that Aaron Rodgers apparently chastised his receivers. They had to have this big kumbaya meeting with the receivers and the coaches and all that sort of stuff. Is this a product of the Saints defensive backs just having a really big couple of days against that Green Bay passing game?
I think it certainly accentuated the issue. It's not an issue that has been specific to this week. And my understanding is that, there have been some, comments and things like that have been being made, over the course of the offseason altogether when it comes to questioning the wide receivers and the wide receiver core. And it's certainly not out of the ordinary for Aaron Rodgers. We've seen this kind of stuff before. But, I think that there's certainly an accentuation that comes from a being stymied by a very, very good and strong defense that just kind of accentuates the frustration, right? Really helps to build the frustration when you can't get anything going up against a different team. And then all of a sudden it just feels very different. The competition feels very different. And so I think that, I think the Saints certainly contributed to some of that frustration, but I do, as I understand it, know that there have been some consistent issues over the course of the offseason over in that area of the conversation for them.
Do we have an update on James Hurst and Trevor Penning and the guys that got tweaked a little bit?
So we saw Trevor Penning, James Hurst, and Sage Doxter all leave. Sage Doxter has been waived injured. He'll probably revert to IR unless he's picked up by some team on waivers, or if they release him with an injury designation of some sort. They brought in Derek Schweiger, who they worked with over the course of the offseason and was at camp early on in camp, so he's back in the building now. They also brought in Derek Kelly to help with the position, somebody that has seen some snaps for the team over the course of the past couple of years. Trevor Penning came back out on the field yesterday. We saw him play a ton of snaps after he left, so that should be good news. I think we'll learn more, obviously, as we get closer to tomorrow's game. And then as for James Hurst, what we know so far is that it's a foot injury, but we don't know the severity of it at this moment. So hopefully we get to see 74 out there, but obviously if Trevor Penning is healthy and able to get some additional reps, then that's not the end of the world, as long as James Hurst isn't a serious injury, which according to Nick Underhill over at New Orleans Football, early sources seem to say that it's not necessarily a major injury at this time.
That's certainly great news as the opener is drawing near. Okay, so for tomorrow's game, for Friday's game against the Packers, who are maybe the few players that you're keeping a close eye on that you feel like need to have a big day?
I think one of the guys, just to start the quarterback position, that needs the big day is going to be Ian Book. He struggled a bit on last weekend's game against the Houston Texans. He kind of struggled a bit throughout the joint practices with the Packers as well. And he's in a situation now to where he's not necessarily only battling for positioning on the roster, if that were where the battle was for him early. It's now kind of where you're battling for a roster spot, because now you have kind of a built-in emergency quarterback in Taysom Hill at another position, taking up a roster spot elsewhere. So the Saints really need to go with their usual route of keeping 3 quarterbacks on the roster, or can they get away with just keeping 2? So now you're kind of just trying to convince the Saints to keep you on the active roster as opposed to waiving you and hoping that you make it to the practice squad. So I think that he's somebody you're looking for to have a big day. I think a big day from Andy Dalton would also be good from that position. Traquan Smith is a guy that needs a big day, but guys that I'm really going to be watching at that position are Kirk Merritt and Dejon Dixon, who have consistently stood out and had some really nice performances. And you're looking to see what they can do not only in a passing game, but also in the run game and on special teams. It's just part of making the roster as either undrafted free agent or as a recent addition like Kirk Merritt is. And then maybe over on the defensive side, really curious to see if Malcolm Roach can continue the momentum that he started to build up over the course of those joint practices. I think that starting role next to David Onyemata on the defensive interior is still a little bit of a question mark. Former New Orleans Saint Malcolm Brown is back on the market. Maybe there's a reunion opportunity there that I think would certainly make sense. Feels like the Saints have been trying to fill that Malcolm Brown size hole since they ended up trading him away to the Jacksonville Jaguars. But Malcolm Roach, with his sort of the momentum that he's picked up over the last couple of days, if he's able to continue that into some game situations, I think that would go a long way for him.
Ross, you mentioned the receivers, Traquan, Merritt, Dixon. Is there a realistic possibility the Saints keep any one of those guys? I mean, they'd have to keep a 6th receiver. I don't see how it's even possible.
I think the only way that one of those guys ends up making the roster is if they do something that moves them up above Marquez Callaway, which is going to be hard. I mean, they love Marquez Callaway. He does so much. I mean, he's one of the Dennis Allen kind of categorized wide receivers in his presser with us on Wednesday, where he talked about the speed guys, and he specifically mentioned both Chris Olave and Deontay Hardy. Then he went on to talk about the physical guys, specifically mentioning Jarvis Landry and, of course, Michael Thomas. And then he talked about the guys that do the dirty work, which were Marquez Callaway and Traquan Smith. So if I needed to pick 6 wide receivers, to me, they're your 6 wide receivers just based upon what you're hearing from Coach Allen. But I think that you have a bit of a separation there between Traquan Smith and Marquez Callaway. Marquez Callaway proving to be a little bit more of a maybe reliable option in the passing game as of right now, and somebody that you can utilize a lot of different ways. The thing that Traquan Smith has going for him is his contributions in the run game, but Marquez Callaway is a very willing blocker as well, and I think you can get him up to that standard. And so, yeah, they would have to keep a 6 wide receiver. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if a guy like Rashid Shaheed, if they were to keep a 6 wide receiver, if he's able to show what he can do this weekend in particular as a return man, because you don't really get to see a lot of kick or punt returns. Those are few or far between in terms of training camp and non-contact practices. How do you grade that? But he got a lot of opportunities fielding those punts and kicks over the course of these joint practices. So if he's able to show you something as a returner, then maybe all of a sudden he becomes an option to maybe steal that 6 spot because of what he brings you on special teams. And then so he becomes a guy that kind of sneaks in that way. But I don't know that the Saints do keep 6, especially considering the amount of tight ends that they have, and certainly feel comfortable as well as the receiving options out of the backfield.
He is Ross Jackson on Twitter at Ross Jackson Nola, the Locked on Saints podcast. Make sure you subscribe up, a Saints Wire as well. Ross, we appreciate it, man. And enjoy the game tomorrow. Safe travels home.
Appreciate you, buddy. Always a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me on. Take care. Stay safe. I'll talk to you soon.
That's our pleasure. That's Ross Jackson. Great stuff as always. He brought up Malcolm Brown, which is interesting. I wanted to circle back to that at the bottom of this hour. But Malcolm Brown, of course, was a big part of the Saints defense. And last year, when they had so many cap casualties because of COVID, the cap lowered. You all remember the story. I mean, cap lowered after the COVID year, and the Saints kind of got stuck. And you saw guys like Janoris Jenkins and Malcolm Brown. I mean, there were so many guys where they had to create cap space. And so a lot of guys they would have preferred to have kept. They weren't able to, but Brown's a potential interesting one. And I keep bringing up Ndamukong Suh, who is still without a team right now. And I believe the Saints, before they play Atlanta, are going to add another veteran defensive tackle. If it's Brown, if it's Sue, if it's someone else, but I don't think that they're done there. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break, come back, reset some of the LSU storylines from today as well. A lot of Saints talk still. As you heard Ross mention, the Saints did add an offensive lineman in Derek Kelly. A lot still to get into as Dennis Allen previews the Saints and Packers as well. Glad you're with us here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Thursday at Pluckers. Awesome night to get by because every Thursday is all you can eat boneless buffalo bites. That's right. That is all white meat chicken, breaded, fried, tossed in your favorite wing sauce. It's buffalo bites. It's at Pluckers, and it's all you can eat every single Thursday. Those are great tailgate or party food as well. When we had Drew's birthday party, we got like 200 buffalo bites, 2 different pans with 100, and they went like that. It was so easy. People just to walk by, scoop them onto the plate, or you grab a few at a time. It's a great tailgate item, or if you're having game watch parties at the house, think about Pluckers. Great catering options for game watches or any type of party. Pluckers can help. Who doesn't love wings? Pluckers, Nicholson, just south the campus, Bluebonnet, right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. You can get and watch any game you want, all out-of-market games, Nicholson or Bluebonnet, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery, tonight and every Thursday. All-you-can-eat boneless buffalo bites at Pluckers.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside, off the bench, Hunt and Hill, the early line. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba truly is dedicated to serving.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. It's on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Vizzy, the first hard seltzer with antioxidant vitamin C. It just hits different. Vizzy.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
And almost on cue. I've been an unintended theme of the show today. I've been talking about Tampa Bay. If you missed it, Bart Scott had about a 2-minute, I'm going to call it a rant, but impassioned plea why the Saints might be the most complete team in the NFL, and it's a lot of the stuff we've been talking about. And I'm always hesitant because odds makers do the jobs they do for a reason. You heard people say it all the time. They don't build the big, shiny buildings in the desert, to lose. Okay, right. That's all true. But I don't understand the counter argument to the Saints, who are a very deep roster. The narrative has been built around them that they are potentially in rebuild mode post-Breeze Payton, which is just not true. And Booger was on set on ESPN just now on SportsCenter, and they were talking about Tampa Bay, and now they're the betting favorite right now to win the NFC, and the second best odds are the Rams. Do you realize that right now, Tom Brady has been AWOL since the 11th, so 7 days. He's been gone for a week, away from the team, and all the questions there. Tristan Wirfs, one of their starting tackles, left practice today with injury. It's not thought to be serious, but you're replacing your entire starting 3 interior linemen right now, and you've already lost Ryan Jensen for the year. You've heard my spiel already about Julio and Kyle Rudolph and all these guys who at one point were really good players and aren't anymore. I don't get it with Tampa. And by the way, the Rams have a situation with their quarterback right now who can't throw the ball without pain. Forgive me, but if you're going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, a prerequisite is throwing the football. And Matt Stafford can't throw the football without pain right now. I mean, maybe I'm just this is just gigantic Homer, black and gold sunglasses on, but I feel like the NFC is pretty wide open right now. Any team you want to make a case for, I could make a compelling case against in the NFC right now. You want to talk about the Niners? They were in the NFC Championship game last year. Sure, who knows how good Trey Lance might be? He might stink. You want to talk about the Eagles? You think that they're really good? Look at Jalen Hurts' record against teams with a winning record and a losing record. Jalen Hurts has a losing record as a starting quarterback against teams with a winning record. Oh, he can beat bad teams. They don't beat good teams. You want to talk about Green Bay? Aaron Rodgers, back-to-back MVPs? Cool. Who's he going to throw to? Like, Aaron Rodgers, by the way, had to have this come to Jesus with his receivers because he criticized them because they were all dropping passes. They ended up this morning having this big meeting with Rodgers and his receivers, and a lot of the coaches all had to do this powwow. Now, Rodgers didn't call the meeting, but he apparently talked a ton at it. They got issues. Like, this was one of their receivers talking about the Rodgers criticism.
Oh, yeah, we definitely took it to heart. As young receivers, we're always looking for ways to get better. And when the quarterback tells us to rise to the occasion, that's what we got to do. Okay, but you still got issues. My point is every team in the NFC right now has issues. Like, I look at the AFC, and there is a very short list of teams that I go, yep, they're contenders. And it's the Bills, it's the Chiefs, probably the Chargers in the mix as well, and certainly the Bengals. That's kind of it when I start thinking about Super Bowl contenders from the AFC. That list ain't really long. In the NFC, just look at what happened a year ago. I mean, the Rams, you spent the whole season calling them frauds. They ended up winning the Super Bowl. I mean, but my God, like the Niners made the championship game. The Niners needed a plum miracle to beat Green Bay last year. The NFC ain't as cut and dried as you might think it is. And I'm telling you, at some point, Tom Brady's amazing run is going to come to an end. And yes, it feels like you're trying to time the jump instead of just waiting for it to happen. But if ever there was a time where I think the circumstances surrounding Tom Brady are the most difficult he's faced, this is it. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Relief Windows, reliefwindows.com. By the way, Joe Burrow was back at practice and talked about his appendicitis that he had. We'll let you hear from Joey B in just a second. Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. It's windows, doors, siding,
Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. Remember, siding. I had someone text me last week on the show text line, said, I'm so glad you mentioned the siding at Relief Windows. I would have never even known that. Windows, doors, siding, hardy plank and vinyl siding. You want to make your home more energy efficient. You want to make it storm resistant. You want to beautify it. That hardy plank and vinyl siding comes finished in whatever color you want. It'll beautify the exterior of your home. It takes about 2 weeks from the time you call to have that thing installed and done. Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. They have financing. In some cases, they have interest-free financing as well at Relief Windows. 288-8138, 288-8138 for Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. Joe Burrow did meet with the media today. If you missed an hour one, by the way, Conor Orr was here from SI. Joe Burrow is on the cover of the NFL preview issue for SI. Conor Orr wrote the feature on Joe Burrow. He was here in hour number one if you want to go back and check out that conversation. But here was Joe Burrow, who was pretty frustrated because he had appendicitis, lost a bunch of weight. So right now he's kind of like trying to get this weight back on.
It was frustrating, but control what you can control. And so we're working back to get to that point. Not quite there, but we got 3 weeks left to get my strength, my speed, and my athleticism back to where it was before.
Nutrition-wise, what do you have to add or subtract to get back in such a short time?
Got to go back to the high school days when you're trying to gain 20 pounds in a couple weeks span. So we're forcing down as much as we can.
What's the go-to?
What do you
eat? What do you eat?
Everything.
What do you eat and everything? Whenever I hear stories like that, I always think about Michael Phelps. I think it might have been SI. I don't remember. Somebody did a feature on Michael Phelps during one of his Olympic years, and they looked at his diet, and it was something like it was like 8,000 calories a day. It was ridiculous. But I mean, when you were swimming as much as he was and burning as many calories, he was eating an obnoxious amount of food. And I always think about that whenever I see stories about athletes that need to gain weight in a hurry like that. It would almost feel uncomfortable. Miles Brennan talked about this when he was gaining weight. Like he would have to set an alarm clock to wake up, like to take a protein shake to try to put on that weight like he did. One more from Burrow. This was Burrow talking about the timeline for his appendectomy.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the normal appendicitis that you hear about. I didn't really feel much. Just was getting checked out and had some discomfort, and so we thought we'd get it checked out. Turns out I had it, so we had to get it fixed. Not ideal timing, obviously, but I'm glad it happened now and not halfway through the year.
Better now than through the season for sure. Just sort of emptying the bag here on quarterback stuff from Rodgers and Joe Burrow. Also, of course, the big news today that you'll see everywhere is around Deshaun Watson, who we now know his suspension is going to be an 11-game suspension. He will forfeit a $5 million fine, which should be donated to charity. Deshaun Watson did meet the media today for the first time this camp.
But at the same time, I have to continue to push forward with my life and my career. And for us to be able to move forward, I have to be able to take steps and put pride to the side. And I'm going to continue to stand on my innocence and keep pushing forward. And I've always, stood on not disrespecting or sexual assaulting anyone.
Deshaun Watson met with reporters today. We also learned that he is going to play his first game is going to be week 13 after an 11-game suspension, and he will play, I cannot believe coincidentally, in Houston against his former team.
Right now, that's, down the road. Right now I'm focusing on, getting ready to practice against Philly and just focusing on being the best individual and getting myself back in shape and getting ready and prepared for that moment whenever it comes.
So, I don't believe in any way that is coincidental. The NFL is brilliant at marketing their games whenever they went to a flex schedule. They are really good whenever they announce the schedule at the beginning of the season to know when certain intriguing matchups are going to happen, like Tom Brady when he went to the Bucs, playing at New England on the day, and they sort of timed the game where he would break the record. They have a lot of forethought to build those things into their premium games and primetime games, and that was very obviously something that they did here, even though they'll never say it. But yes, you play. They put the game against the Texans late in the season, and obviously Deshaun Watson will return now when he goes to Houston against his former team, and what a spectacle that will be whenever it does in fact happen. All right, but for our purposes, as we've discussed often here, the only thing that I really care about with respect to that is the fact that the Saints play in Cleveland Week 16. So Deshaun Watson had a 6-game suspension. We knew he was going to play against the Saints. When the NFL appealed it, and it was likely, or we thought possible, that he would end up with a full season suspension. If you're a Saints fan, that's more appealing because the Saints would have played Cleveland without Deshaun Watson. Now we know that Deshaun Watson, provided he's healthy, will play against the Saints Week 16 in Cleveland. So for New Orleans, that's obviously a game now where you are going to be an underdog. Cleveland has a really good roster. You have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL who at that point will not only be healthy, but will be more in a groove after sitting out the first few months of the season. But the Saints will, in fact, see Deshaun Watson Week 16 in Cleveland. All right, it's after further review. We're going to knock out a break. When we come back, we'll reset some of what Brian Kelly had to say. LSU football today had a day off from the practice field. They used it to do some philanthropy. Much of the team was out at the food bank today doing some community service. So we'll set the day for the Tigers in case you missed it. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Tell you every day, better coverage for less money. Told you every day for years now, better coverage for less money. Stop overpaying to be underinsured. That's Insurance Network of Louisiana. 293-0450, 293-0450. Yesterday, I shared a story with you of a couple who had been with Liberty Mutual for several decades, saved $6,000 annually on their coverage. How much could you save? The most plain way I can say it is this. If you have had your current insurance provider for more than 5 years, and you have not shopped or had someone shop for you, there is a really good possibility that you are overpaying. You could get the same or better coverage elsewhere for less. Let Insurance Network of Louisiana use their relationships to shop independently for free to get you better coverage for less money. 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling. Talking about it throughout. Grill from barbecue.
As I always told
Barbecue guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
LSU scrimmaged yesterday, so they had the day off today from on-field work. So they used the day to do some community service. Tip of the cap to WBRZ Television, our news partners there for the video. You can check it out on Cobble's Twitter. But here's the bulk of the team at the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank today, packing and unpacking boxes, lending a helping hand there. Really falls in line with what Brian Kelly says. He wants to raise good men and graduate champions, as he says. And so to spend a day of camp doing community service is a really cool thing. So really a salute to all the LSU players and staff and coaches and everybody who went and was a part of that today. Tomorrow, the Tigers are back on the practice field. And we, the media, will have a chance tomorrow to visit with defensive coordinator Matt House for the first time. Of course, a week ago, we got to chat with Mike Denbrock about the offense, so we'll get to learn more about LSU's defense and Matt House's structure and a lot of his intention when we visit with him tomorrow. But Brian Kelly, after the scrimmage yesterday, was asked about the defensive structure. And this is something I think is starting to become a little clearer with what they want to do. But here's what Brian Kelly had to say.
From a defensive structure, it's the ability to play 4 down and 3 down. It's the ability to make it difficult to recognize who's coming off the edge, who's dropping into coverage, and bringing pressure. We want you to feel uncomfortable back there. And that's really the basis of the defensive structure. And then put really good players out there, and that helps a lot.
So a couple of the things he said there, that might sound like coach speak, where it's like, well, we want to play 3 down and 4 down, we want to drop into coverage, we want to bring pressure, we want to make you uncomfortable. He basically just listed everything that a defense does. But while he was saying it, it actually made sense to me because they do really run a base 3 down line defense where you've got 3 linemen with their hands in the dirt. Jaquelin Roy, Mason Smith, Ali Gay. Their hands are in the dirt. But really, you've got B.J. Ojulari out there on the edge who kind of is a defensive end but also a linebacker. And so when he said we want to bring pressure, Ojulari can do that. And when you want to drop into coverage, Ojulari does that as well. That's one of the big changes. You will see these linebackers dropping into coverage, which you often see in the NFL. By the way, that's why Demario Davis is such a freak show. What 6'4", 256-pound man can drop into coverage and cover tight ends and running backs? Like, that's why he's an all-pro. But that's what the NFL is calling for more and more. That's why a guy like Patrick Queen is so valuable in today's NFL. And that's what Brian Kelly and Matt House, I guess, are asking B.J. Ojulari to do in that jack linebacker position. Why it's been interesting hearing about the development of Desmond Little, a guy that's 6'5" and is a linebacker that can go play that jack position as well. So we're going to hear from Matt House tomorrow, but it was an interesting way to sort of dovetail together the conversation we had in hour number 2. If you weren't here, Karels covers Florida State for NoleSports.com. That's from the Tallahassee Democrat, the newspaper there. And he wrote today about the Florida State defensive line and how the Florida State defensive line is the strongest unit on the team and how they're really having their way with the interior offensive line. Actually, I'll read this one line to you from his piece. He wrote, "No unit in practice has been more consistently overmatched than the interior offensive line." He said the noticeable difference between the two units certainly speaks to how the offensive line room has for improvement. That's what I'm sort of circling, star, asterisk, the thing that I think is going to be most impactful in that game on September the 4th in the Superdome is that LSU defensive front against the Florida State offensive line. And yes, flip it around, the LSU offensive line against the Florida State defensive front, which has been the best group in practice so far. It sounds eerily similar in the trenches. Now, if I'm ever on the fence about a game, there's 3 criteria that I look at. It's coach, quarterback, venue. Coach, give me Brian Kelly over Mike Norvell. Quarterback, probably a toss-up right now, as we don't even know who the LSU quarterback's going to be. But Florida State, while they have an incumbent, hasn't been a great player, maybe looking to take another step. And then venue, of course, it's a de facto home game for LSU in the Superdome, which is why I lean LSU in the ball game. But these are the position battles to look at, because you have two teams right now that their offensive line are struggling to block. They're very elite, very talented defensive line. So what does that gap look like when they get on the field on September the 4th? I would love to have LSU have a game in week 0. Last year, I think T-Bob and I were talking about this on Scone and T last night. When LSU was playing UCLA, we were all, I think myself included, very blinded by the fact of when you look at the criteria that I just mentioned. Coach, Chip Kelly or Ed Ogeron. I mean, Chip Kelly's played for a national title and is a objectively better football coach. Quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson's been in college forever. Started in LSU was starting Max Johnson, as a sophomore. And venue was at the Rose Bowl. Like, we should have looked at that and said, yeah, advantage UCLA. But we missed it. And remember, UCLA had a week 0 game last year against Hawaii, so they had the opportunity to go work out the kinks. So I think I remember having this conversation at Media Days, I believe it was with Mike Jones, about the week 0 game. And if there was an advantage either way in playing or not playing a week 0. And his take was that it was actually LSU's advantage because Florida State doesn't have tape on this LSU team, but LSU is going to have a game film of Florida State against Duquesne to watch. I'm just not so sure I buy it. The opportunity to get out there and play a game and to have a dress rehearsal that counts, a game that you have no threat of really losing the game, but an opportunity to run out there and go through the motions of calling in plays, of getting up to the line of scrimmage, of going through the special teams units, all that sort of stuff. It matters. I think it does matter very much, and especially for a team like LSU with the new staff and so much roster turnover as well. I do lean advantage Florida State from the week 0 perspective. Like that, them playing a game is an advantage over LSU not playing a game. I don't even know that I could argue the other side of it, but is that enough to overcome LSU on September the 4th? I don't think so, but we'll talk much more about it. Both teams clearly are having issues right now solidifying an offensive line. By the way, Florida State is starting 2 transfers on the offensive line, like LSU. And Florida State is starting 3 redshirt sophomores on the offensive line who are getting their first chance to play, similar to LSU with a young, inexperienced group. Talented group, but little inexperienced right now. All right, I got a minute. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. That's southpointvw.com. Check them out. If it's on the lot, it's online at southpointvw.com. 9 different IIHS top safety picks. Get behind the wheel of a Volkswagen with the security, the peace of mind, knowing you're driving one of the safest vehicles on the road. The style, the feel, the performance of luxury, the great German engineering without the cost. And South Point Volkswagen is Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. Airline just north of Highland, or southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? Last thing real quick before we get to Otterlocks. The Saints have claimed Derek Kelly off of waivers from the Jets. Derek Kelly was an undrafted free agent out of Florida State, signed with the Saints in 2019. He played in 6 games in 2020 during the COVID season. Played in 1 game for the Saints a year ago, was not re-signed after last season. Went to the Jets, actually played at left tackle for the Jets in their first preseason game, and then he was waived. So the Saints have brought him back now, and it makes a little sense. You saw Hurst go down. You saw Penny go down. You saw Dockstader go down as well. So the Saints have had some injuries there, and you may need to nurse these guys back, so having depth there at the tackle spot matters. Kelly, it's worth noting, for the Saints, played right tackle and left guard. He did not play left tackle for the Saints, which is what he was doing with the Jets, but a versatile guy that could play either side. Look, I look at that offensive line, and Andrus Pete's obviously had an injury-prone career. Ramczyk and McCoy both missed time last year. Hurst is injured right now. So the good news for the Saints is that there have been no serious camp injuries. There have been camp injuries, not to starters. That's worth noting. Serious injuries to starters you've largely avoided. Look at Tampa, losing Ryan Jensen. That's devastating to him. That's your best offensive lineman. It's your center. It's half the battery who's done for the season now. It's devastating. So the Saints have avoided that, which is fantastic news. But you would love to build some depth there on the offensive line behind these guys right now who have battled a little bit of injury. But Derek Kelly, a guy who's played for the Saints, and now they're bringing him back into the fold to bring some depth there as a swing offensive lineman. All right, y'all, let me knock out our final break of the show. When we come back, Jimmy will be here, a 1-2 night for the Otter, but he did hit the run line play that he had last night. So we'll get Otter locks when we come back, see if we can keep the good times rolling. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Baton Rouge General Hospital, part of the Mayo Clinic Care Network. You know where to find them at brgeneral.org. That's brgeneral.org for the Baton Rouge General Hospital. Tell you about the Mayo Clinic Care Network. That gives your local physician access to the experts at the Mayo Clinic. That means your physician here in Baton Rouge, at the Baton Rouge General, can consult with the experts at the Mayo Clinic at no extra cost to you. So you get clinical collaboration. Your physician here gets access to the world-renowned research at the Mayo Clinic. Together, they're building a healthier community. It starts with a healthier you. It's the Baton Rouge General Hospital, part of the Mayo Clinic Care Network. Online at brgeneral.org. That's brgeneral.org. To learn more about all of the different medical services that the Baton Rouge General provides, you know what to do. Log on to brgeneral.org. For the Baton Rouge General Hospital, part of the Mayo Clinic Care Network.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you. Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment here. On a Thursday edition of AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffery in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. Theantiagingclinics.com. A hormone replacement therapy. You want to look and feel like your younger self. You can do it at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Hit the Otters music, please, if you would. Or our end of show music, if you would. The Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. So, last night, the Otter gave us 3 picks. He gave us the Mets on the run line, which hit. He gave us Pittsburgh plus 135. Didn't work out. And then he gave us the Giants and Yankees in a money line parlay that did not hit because the Giants lost. And the Yankees needed the dramatics of a walk-off grand slam in the 10th inning to win their game. But not a great night, a 1-2 night for the Ottfather last night. But I don't know what the juice was on the Mets game. But you played the run line, so you might have actually broken even or gotten close to it last night, depending on how it all transpired. So I say all that because we just learned the Otter is not joining us. So Otter is at Ethan Ott scrimmage.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. That's where he's at.
Okay.
That's where he's at.
The Otter is at Ethan Ott scrimmage in West Feliciana, so he sent his picks. All right, here you go. Here's what the Otter has tonight. Jimmy has given us Seattle -3. I don't know, honestly, that I have ever wagered on an NFL preseason game. Have you?
No.
I don't think I have. But Chicago's terrible. It is still the preseason. But I think about that, and I always think about that 06 Saints team, which I think went 3-1 in the preseason. Or no, I'm sorry, the 05 Saints preseason team. Like when Katrina had displaced, they had a really good preseason. And they obviously had a miserable year. So I put nothing into preseason. That's very hard. But if you want to bet, here's what the Otters got. Seattle -3, and he said hook it up with the over. So play Seattle -3 and a parlay with the Seattle laying the 3 and the over in the game. He mentions there's a legit quarterback battle there, so they're actually trying. And that's all he gave us. So no baseball plays tonight. So
pretty early slate in baseball today.
That's true. It's a getaway day.
Yeah, for a lot of teams.
Okay. So Otter's giving you Seattle -3 and the over for tonight's football game. I just love the fact that there's football again tonight. There's football every Thursday. We talked about this football every Thursday to the end of the year, or to the Super Bowl. So I'm fired up about that. Get to go home and watch some football tonight. And one other thing that we'll, before we get out of here, LSU continues to grow its roster of athletes with famous parents. Breely Favre, that's the daughter of Brett and Deanna Favre, has committed to LSU, assigned actually with LSU beach volleyball as a graduate transfer. So she was at Southern Miss, and she will play her final year of beach volleyball at LSU, which is pretty incredible. We're going to probably see Brett Favre at LSU beach volleyball matches in town. Don't they play at Mango's? Or they have their own
place now. Yeah.
It was the old
tennis courts. Old tennis courts. Yeah, it was the old tennis court.
Well, wasn't that the old softball field? I think the old softball field became where they have the tennis courts. Had the tennis courts. They built a new tennis facility. That's where the sand thing is.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, it's over there by the PMAC is where they play. Yeah. So that's Breely Favre. So that's Brett Favre's daughter. Of course, Kramer Robertson.
He's got a famous mom?
Kim Mulkey, the basketball coach. Kramer's mom.
Really?
Karl Malone.
KJ, yeah.
Yeah. Randy Moss.
Of course.
Thad Moss.
Hushmanzada on the softball team.
TJ Hushmadilla.
Who's your mama?
Lock It Up Championship. TJ Hushmanzada. Are we missing any others?
Mason Taylor.
Mason Taylor. Of course. Mason Taylor. Jason Taylor's son. I didn't realize this. You know what Jason Taylor's doing right now?
No, actually I don't.
Jason Taylor, Hall of Famer Jason Taylor, is a defensive analyst at the University of Miami under Mario Cristobal. I looked him up yesterday because I wanted to get him on the show because his son's balling out right now and it seemed like a good thing to do. He's a little busy, though, with fall camp right now at the University of Miami. Who else are we missing?
Sharif O'Neal, technically.
Oh, absolutely,
right?
that counts.
Yeah.
That absolutely counts.
Justin Crawford would have been pretty cool, but that didn't happen. He went pro.
Yeah. When you get paid like $6 million.
For sure. It's the right move.
And Brett Favre. Really Favre. Brett's daughter. New beach volleyball player. Will this be the most attended beach volleyball games at LSU ever? Maybe so.
Potentially.
If you got Brett Favre out there. All right, y'all, we're getting down the road. Muse, Paulie, appreciate y'all. Have an awesome night. We'll be back tomorrow for a Friday edition of AFR, right? Radio hours, all that good stuff. Have an awesome Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, remind you about HUDCO Roofing, HUDCORoofing.com. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. That's us. HUDCO Roofing, HUDCORoofing.com. You've heard Skip Bertman. You've heard Brandon Landry. Of course, Ryan Terrio. So many people that you know in this community have done business with us at HUDCO because we're actually here. We're a locally owned and operated business, a Louisiana business owned by Louisiana residents, run by Louisiana residents with Louisiana workers. We use Louisiana shingles. If you go up to a HUDCO job and you see the pallet of shingles right there, you will see that every single pallet has of Certainty is made at the Shreveport, Louisiana plant. They have a Shreveport, Louisiana stamp on the pallet of shingles at every job we do at HUDCO. HUDCORoofing.com. Commercial or residential, roof repairs or roof replacements from the smallest job to the biggest. We'd love to help. Give us a shout. HUDCO Roofing and HUDCORoofing.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644.